You know, for the longest time, power in our workplaces had a face. It had a name, a title, a clear spot on the org chart. But that map is changing. A new, kind of invisible authority has arrived, and it's influencing our careers without ever stepping foot in a meeting. So what is this new power really?
Seriously, just think about it for a second. When was the last time you heard something like that? That one little phrase. It signals a huge shift in where authority comes from. We're moving from a world that was guided mostly by human experience to one that's now guided by data. And that change, well, it's reshaping everything about how we work.
Here's the change in a nutshell. On the one hand, you've got the old power, a senior manager's gut feeling, a specialist's years of experience and intuition. And on the other? Well, that's where the new power comes in. An algorithm's calculation of probability, a score on a dashboard. The expert's second opinion is no longer a person, it's a predictive model.
So let's give this new force a name, the invisible authority. It's basically the algorithm that's become a very real, though unseen, part of the company's structure. Now, it might not be the one signing off on the final email, but you can bet it's shaping all the decisions that lead up to it. And just think about the sheer weight of these decisions. We're not talking about small stuff here. We're talking about the most critical moments in a person's career. Who gets hired, who gets that promotion, who gets flagged as a flight risk, or even who might be heading for burnout. These models are influencing entire career paths, even when their recommendations aren't the final say.
Because this new authority is technical and based on data, it feels completely objective, right? The whole conversation shifts from "we believe this is the right call" to "the data indicates this." But here's the thing, and this is really important. It's not magic. A person, a human being, selected the data to train it. A person chose which variables mattered. And this creates a brand new power imbalance between the people who understand the model and everyone else who just has to live with its results.
Okay, and this is where things start to get, well, a little messy. When we use data from the past to try and predict future success, we run a huge risk. We risk turning our old patterns, and yep, our old biases, into what look like objective rules for the future.
And this is the big paradox, right? We think we're building a system based purely on merit. But as the source material puts it so well, this can just be a sophisticated way of perpetuating inequalities. Think about it. If the data we feed the model is based on a biased past, the algorithm just learns to automate that bias. It ends up cementing the very problems we should be trying to fix.
So let's break down how this actually happens. Step 1, the model looks at historical data. Let's say everyone who got promoted in the last decade. Step 2, from all that data, it learns what an ideal candidate looks like. Now, if your company has historically promoted a certain type of person, well, that's what the model thinks is ideal. Step 3, the system then starts recommending more people who fit that exact same profile. And finally, step 4, those old patterns are no longer just seen as history, they become objective, data-backed rules for the future. It's a feedback loop.
So what does this actually look like day to day?
Well, on one side, the model might flag you as a risk, maybe for leaving the company. So you might get some interventions, like a manager checking in a bit more. But on the other side, you could be labeled as promise. And suddenly, you're the one getting the investment, the special development plans, and all the new opportunities. The model's label, that one little word, directly shapes where the company focuses its time, its money, and its energy. And here's the bottom line, the real-world impact of all this. The messy, complex, diverse reality of your actual talent pool gets fed into the model. And what can come out the other side is a very narrow, very uniform idea of what leadership should look like. The algorithm is quietly, silently designing your future leaders, shaping not just who gets ahead, but the entire culture of your company.
So, if this invisible authority is here to stay, what do? We can't just ignore it, right? We have to build a framework for using it responsibly. We have to learn how to interpret its results with a critical eye. Okay, so here are 5 absolutely essential criteria for doing this right. First up, set clear rules and boundaries. Be explicit about what the model's for and what it's not for. Second, you have to do regular reviews. Audit the data and the outputs to hunt for bias. Third, establish a right to explanation. Anyone affected by a decision should be able to get context. Fourth, and this is a big one, create a safe space for people to challenge the results without fear. And finally, make sure there's cultural coherence. Your analytical tools have to actually align with your company's values.
You see this new reality? It demands a totally new kind of leadership. It's not just about adopting the latest tools. It's about adopting a whole new mindset for navigating this data-driven world.
Look, just buying the fanciest new analytics tool on the market, that's not going to cut it. It's about developing the data literacy to understand what the model is doing, and maybe even more importantly, what it isn't doing. Leaders have to learn how to pause and question results that just seem a little too neat, a little too perfect.
So what does this all boil down to? It means we have to redefine what relevant leadership even looks like today. It's not about the leader who just blindly follows what the dashboard says. No way. It's about the leader who knows how to have a real dialogue with the algorithm, who knows how to question its outputs, and who knows how to bring that essential human context back into decisions that should never, ever be purely automated.
And all of this brings us to the final, core question. The issue isn't really if we're going to use these models. Let's be honest, most organizations already are. The real dilemma, well, it's actually much simpler and way more profound. What kind of relationship do we, you, me, our teams, our companies, what relationship do we want to have with this new invisible authority? This is the choice that every single leader and organization has to consciously make. Because right now, there are two very different paths we can take.
So, which path is it going to be? Is this technology going to be our ally, a powerful tool that helps us see our people more clearly and maybe even overcome our own blind spots? Or is it going to be an enforcer, just a faster, more sophisticated way of perpetuating the same old human biases? That's the choice we all have to make. And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. This transformation we're in might feel increasingly digital, but as the source material reminds us, it remains profoundly human. No matter how advanced the tech gets, the impact, the oversight, and ultimately the responsibility, that's always on us.
Because at the end of the day, what defines your company's culture isn't some black box model. It's how you and your colleagues choose to interact with it. It's about the questions you ask, the assumptions you challenge, and the humanity you insist on bringing to every single decision, every single day.